Hey guys, how's it going? I'm out here early in the morning trying to beat the heat, joined by Freya. I just heard Sadie. She was over there, but you know. um, I want to get some color in the garden for Brent. His favorite color is red. So I want to add some red into the garden for him. I have a couple plants. I actually have a lot of plants. In the video you guys are going to see tomorrow is also going to be a red container for Brent, because it's also technically legally his garden. So I want to do something for him, and he really likes red, so I've been trying to gather some red plants. I don't think he's quite noticed yet, and I don't think he'll notice until everything starts blooming and he sees everything together, and then he'll really like it. He'll love the red. So we're going for that. Red is not one of my most favorite colors, even though I'm wearing red and red. But it is his favorite color. So we're going to do that today. I have, I think, 3 plants that are for him. So let me turn the camera around to show you guys those plants. They're all really good, and I am really excited about them. And I don't think they're going to be jarring red, but they'll still be very pretty. So first, I have 5 of these coneflowers right here. This is the Sombrero Flamenco orange coneflower. I love the green centers on these. 26 inches tall, 22 inches wide, hardy zones 4 through 9. And I just thought that this would be really pretty in the landscape. So I have 5 of these guys to go and do a very small little grouping of them. And then right next to that, and that's not my rooster, just remember that, I have a Coleus. That's like a purpley red color. I mean, I guess these are technically purple, but I'm counting them as red for him. I have this Coleus that I've had for so long. Literally had this since April. So this is called Downtown New York City Lights, and this is a shade lover. So we're gonna get this planted in the shade. He loves Coleus and he loves these red colors, so I thought this would be perfect for him. Then I have these sedums. These are the Evolution Chocolate Fountain sedum, and I love sedum. Isn't that so pretty? So they get 15 inches tall, 15 inches wide, hardy zones 4 through 9, and it says partial to full sun. I'm probably gonna plant these in more like a full sun area. They're basically a succulent, and they do really well in full sun areas for us. So I'm gonna plant all 5 of these also for, I should have a 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're gonna plant all 5 of these, probably kind of close to where these are going. And then this is gonna go over in the side yard by the fountain. So I thought that that was pretty good. We'll get a little combination of plants planted in the ground that are his color that he loves. I mean, it's not instant impact, but once those start blooming, it'll be impact. I think it'll be worth it. I'm standing over by this jasmine also, the Arabian jasmine, and you guys can see there's not too many blooms right now. They've all kind of faded, and oh my gosh, you guys, the front porch smells so good. It's not even funny. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blooms, 7 blooms that are coming. And it's in the shade right now, so it's not even in full sun, getting all of the the oils, the essential oils of the plant mixed up. So I can't wait to get those planted. We're just waiting for it to cool down because I don't want those to go into any kind of shock. I'm gonna start with this Coleus though, because this is gonna be the easiest thing, because I can carry it with one hand and because I can hold the camera while I do it. So this is just gonna go over in the side yard. This area. I don't know where it's gonna go. I have all green over here, and my thought was, because it has a little bit of green in it, it kind of ties into it. You can see it's got the chartreuse green, and I'm doing a lot of chartreuse over here, but I thought that it would kind of my thought was in this hole right here, tuck this Coleus in. It's still green, but then it plays off another color, so it adds just a little touch more. I mean, it looks massive. It looks like it fills that area in right now, but it's going to be teeny tiny when I set it down there. And it should be pretty happy there. Let's get this one planted, and then I'll show you guys where everything else is going. It's funny because it doesn't look like I added anything because it's so dark. On the camera, at least. In real life, you can actually see it. I mean, it's there. I promise. It's just not super showy. I think once it gets bigger, it'll be very showy and it'll be really pretty. I don't think I said, but this one's supposed to get like 18 inches tall and wide, so not one of the biggest Coleus out there, but definitely decent sized. And then Coleus are just an annual, so she's not going to make it past the winter months. She'll die back. Usually if I want to grow Coleus on for the next year, I take cuttings. We'll see how this one goes. I've never grown a Coleus that has such fine leaves on it. I always grow ones that have very broad, big leaves. So we'll see how this one does. And then this bed is looking a little bit sad right now. So I have a petunia that totally died. I don't know why it died, but I had problems with it last year. Maybe because roots didn't look very strong. So this is coming out. I think I'm going to plant the 5 of the coneflowers right here. I think that that'll be a really pretty pop of red color. I've got pink, 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 and I think that it needs some red. And then like the hellebores, they gotta get cut back. The flowers on them have already started to die. And same with the columbine. They're pretty much done. They got infested with spider mites pretty early on. So those also need to get cut back. I talked about this rose right here being in shade, but it does get full morning sun and it does okay. It does bloom. I think it might be the Almwick rose. I'm not exactly 100% sure. I can't quite remember. It is a David Austin though. So we're gonna do 5 of them right in here. This bed right here is where the sedum are gonna go. And I gotta pull up the spike mats, do a little bit of weeding. So I have these spike mats for the dogs, which are actually really, really handy. We just use landscape staples to keep them down so that they don't like come up at all. But the problem is that there's weeds in this bed. So this is it's like this right here. I don't want this growing in here, so we got to do a little bit of weeding in this bed. This all used to be like a grass walkway area. I didn't get the roots. There we go. So there was plenty of weeds in here. So we're gonna pull all the weeds, and I think I'm gonna just pull this geranium out. She's pathetic. She's very sad, and she doesn't smell good, and she doesn't look great. So she's got to go. So I'm gonna set those weeds on top of her. We'll pull the spike mats, and then I'm gonna plant the sedums in here because this is full sun, and then back here in a couple hours that'll be full shade area. That's a hydrangea. And I thought the sedums right here would look really, really pretty along the edge like this. So we'll do like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a 5th over here. I don't know, something like this. We'll just like fill this in with sedums. And then I found my first bindweed on the property. Not good at all. I have not dealt with bindweed on this property. So this, I don't want to pull it. This is bindweed, which is related to morning glory, but it's not the common morning glory. So bindweed is really bad because it spreads by rhizomes. So if you don't get all of the roots, you have bindweed forever. And I know all surrounding areas around me do deal with bindweed. I just haven't had it on my property yet, luckily. So that one I'm going to dig down. I'm going to try to get as much of the roots as possible because I don't want bindweed. It's a really, really bad plant. It suffocates everything that it touches. It's morning glory, basically, so it wraps around really tightly. But with that one, if you don't get all of the roots, you have it forever. Where with morning glory, if you were to just cut it off at the base, it dies. It doesn't spread by rhizomes, it only spreads by seed. So I talk about this often, where like morning glory is, in my area, not like invasive. You can like get control of it, but if you have bindweed, you probably won't really ever get control of it unless you catch it when it's young. We're gonna try to take care of that problem because I don't want to deal with any more bindweed. So morning glories I don't mind in the garden. Bindweed I do mind. So let's pull these up and get to weeding, and then we can get to planting. So you can see how long the root was on this, and this is a very, very immature plant. This is probably about only a week old plant, and that is a very long root. Hopefully I got the tap root and all of it, and we don't have to deal with this problem anymore. Really? I was about to finish cleaning up and show you guys. And then I remember there was something else I wanted to do today. So we're gonna go do that really quick. I wanna clean up the Vitex that I have. It's very much a shrub right now, and I need it to not be a shrub. I would really like it to be more like a tree, more like standard. So I've done this before where I've cleaned up the limbs on the lower half of it, but they have regrown. Vitex definitely wants to be more a shrub than a tree, but I've seen some other people turn it into a tree, and so I'd really like to do that. I think it would be really pretty, and then I can plant underneath it and all around it. So there's a little bit of maintenance that needs to be done on that. And then I also wanted to show you guys, it's not mine, it's my next door neighbor's lilac tree. It's blooming right now, which is crazy because lilacs should be done blooming. And this is how I know lilacs do well in my zone, is because one of my neighbors has a lilac and it blooms very early. And then I just planted a lilac that blooms very early, and then it'll bloom in the fall time also. And then my other next door neighbors have another lilac, and theirs blooms a little bit later. It blooms about now every single year. Also, the birds are going crazy because we have a new baby. But the next door neighbor's lilac that they have, she's an older woman, and I can tell that the yard's probably been slightly neglected. And it has like a privet tree growing in it. It has some vines growing in it. It has that rose that I absolutely hate growing in it. And so like you just see the peak of the blooms of the lilac every single year, and it like fills the air this time of year with a scent. It's really, really gorgeous. So let me show you guys that, and then we'll go clean up the Vitex. So this bed right here. And you can see the pink blooms up above. Let me see if I can get a better view. Dead front and center is the privet tree that I absolutely despise. But you see those pink blooms all around it. That is a lilac. And then you can see there's a vine. And then there's another tree. I think it's like the Stairway to Heaven or something like that, which is an invasive species in California. And so is the privet. So I think those are both two invasive species. So that's why they totally take over and they choke everything else out. But I love seeing just the pops of the blooms right there. So it's a pretty lilac tree. It just is a shame that it's being choked out by the privet and the vine and the rose and the Lady Banks rose and all of the other things. So it's whatever. I just enjoy the little blooms that I do get to see. It's a borrowed view. So we're gonna head over to the privet. Oh, let me show you the baby. Where's the new baby? So there's the new baby. It's a darker colored one. I think those are its parents because the one on the left is a female, the one on the right is a male. And then there's the baby. And those are the two that have been kind of following it around nonstop. So, new baby. Now we're gonna head over to the Vitex, which Brent set up the umbrella and moved my tripod over here because it was getting hot. And he did that about 30 minutes ago. So I gotta remove it so it's a little bit closer because now it's in more sun. So this is my Vitex right here. And you can see it is very much a shrub. I love this thing. It gives me Japanese maple leaves. I don't know, it gives the vibe, but it blooms like crazy. And this thing is just like swarming with bees right now. I don't know if you guys can actually hear it. So you can see this is what the blooms look like. And it just blooms nonstop. So you can see these ones are starting to fade, but just underneath it is more blooms. And she will bloom all of summer, probably until October. She bloomed during our wedding, which we had a backyard wedding, and she started blooming about this time of year, and then she bloomed past our wedding. And all of our guests were like, what is this thing? And a couple of them actually went out and bought some of these. So really, really beautiful. This is the dwarf version, and the dwarf version does not stay small. It still gets like 10 feet tall. That's the dwarf variety of it. I think there's a new one out. I'm not 100% certain that I think Monrovia carries, and it stays even smaller, but I think it's still like 8 feet tall. I can't remember, but this was the dwarf variety that I picked up like 3 years ago, and it's still absolutely massive, which I don't mind at all. But I want to limb up all of this down here so it looks more like a tree because it's kind of contorted down below, and I really love the look of that. And I would really like to just be able to appreciate it and have all these blooms up above. So we're gonna take care of this mess. That looks so good. I love being able to see the trunk of it, the base of it. It's not limbed up very high. I mean, like, you can see, so this is a 6 foot tall fence. It's maybe limbed up a third of the way on this fence. So probably like 2 feet, 2.5 feet limbed up on this, and I'm really loving it. I didn't take a whole lot off. It's really just a few branches that came off. It has a little bit of a hole right here, so I left some branches over here hoping that fills that in. But there are so many blooms and there are so many pollinators on this thing. I really love it, and now I really love being able to see the trunk of that. I have a deutzia there, a rose there, and I would like to do a little more underplanting here. I do need to come in and I need to pull weeds really, really badly in this area. All of that right there, that is all really bad. It's all pokeweed. It's on my neighbor's side too. These ones bloom. I try to trim them up when they hang over the fence line. Like, I probably will trim those up a little bit, just because the seeds pop and they sprinkle everywhere, and they're not the best, or they're poisonous, honestly. So I do need to come in and clean that up a little bit. But this looks so much better. And you can see the fence stops right there. So we haven't made any more progress. I very much love the Vitex. It is one of the favorites in the garden. The smell is phenomenal. So it blooms later than a lot of other things bloom in the garden. And so I forget about it. And I always want to add it to my list of like my favorite things for pollinators, because the pollinators love it and it blooms for so long. So I'm really happy with it. Like I said, I want it to be trained into like a small tree form. So I'm going to try to keep that all limbed up there. I just love the way it looks. I love the way they smell, and I love the pink blooms. So you can get them in different colors. I have the pink one. I just personally like the pink. There's a lot of pink in my garden. So it looks good. Let me show you guys the rest of the stuff, and then we will say goodbye. One last look at the Vitex, because it looks pretty good. I'm not mad at that at all. I've got the 5 right here, coneflowers. I think that'll be fun. So it's like, you know, I don't know. It'll fill that whole area in, which will be really, really pretty. And then behind it is that morning glory that I planted. This is one called Split Second. Isn't that so cool? I've never seen a morning glory like this before. It's very interesting, very different. I really think it's very, very cool. So this is gonna grow up, but this is a shorter morning glory, so it shouldn't get much taller than this entire trellis is. Maybe a little bit taller, but it'll fill this out really beautifully. It looks really cool, it's coming along. And these guys are looking happy. They did droop a little bit, but then I just gave them some extra water and they all bounced right back. And to show you guys the pink petticoat, what they look like, this is probably the very last bloom that I'm gonna get, or this set right here. But this is what they look like. They're usually a lot bigger. This is a very last bloom. So this is the last of them. They're really, really cool. Pink petticoat. She's a really pretty columbine. And then I just like to come through and pull these down and try to save a couple of these seeds. So this is what the seeds look like. And then I want this one to kind of take over, which came up in the coneflower. It's coming up all over here. It's kind of coming along everywhere. And I want to really encourage that. So I just try to sprinkle these in here everywhere. And I'll do that with those too. So the sedums are right here. They're in shade right now. They're protected from a pine tree. And it's like 11 o'clock. So if I give them like 45 minutes, they will be totally happy. Oh, look at the butterfly. Give them 45 minutes, and this strip right here is in full sun. A little bit into the hydrangea, but not much. It is dealing with a little bit of burn because, like I said, it's a little bit in the sun. Super happy with those sedums, though. That's going to be so beautiful. And when they bloom, I'm really excited for it. I've never grown sedum before, which is something that I've really wanted to grow. And so I'm excited to see them blooming. They're going to be so pretty when they are full of blooms. I really can't wait. It's going to be so gorgeous, especially right by the walkway. I just think it's going to be really, really pretty. So this one's probably a little close to the rose there, but it is a miniature rose, so it shouldn't get too big, and it won't put on too much growth this growing season. And if I need to like cut that back sedum back a little bit, I think that'll be fine. And I didn't put the like spike strips back in just because the dogs won't run through this. They would never do that. I don't see them doing that. They'll probably do it. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. And then you guys saw the Coleus. It still disappears completely, but it will fill this entire area out, which will be really, really nice. So I think that is gonna be it for this video, you guys. I am gonna say it was a win. Some good accomplishments happened. I'm not mad at it at all. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. It was a good day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.